Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustus, and I'm back again with another episode of Tsukihime. When we last left off, Senpai scared away Arcueid with nasty words and is now going to, scold us, I guess. It seems like. But I don't think there is all that much I should go into about last time because, it's been a bit. Anyway, this is so abrupt. I am prepared for you to hate me. Right, that's CL talking. It's been a bit. For some reason, the music seems very loud. I don't know why. Well, you can't see me adjusting my volume or hear or whatever. But I have something I have to tell you. I'm very sorry for restraining you like this. Senpai bows her head. She's dressed strange, but Senpai is still Senpai. It's okay. I'm not angry, so please don't apologize. You've already helped me once, Senpai, and I want to ask you some things as well. That does help. But what would you like to ask me, Tono-kun? Isn't it obvious? Just, who are you, Senpai? Dressed like that and smashing away Arcueid, and I'm the only one who remembers you at school. Yeah, that's kind of important. Why do only I remember you? Senpai gives a sigh in response. Then, let me ask, Tono-kun, what do you think about me? I've only heard some things from Arcueid about the church and stuff. That's right. As you know, I'm an exorcist of the church. My specialty is hunting vampires. I can't answer anything else, but I think that is enough for you. Enough? Why would someone like you even come to my school? If you wanted to exterminate vampires, wouldn't you be searching the city like Arcueid? No, there was a reason for me coming to your school, Tono-kun. Right. Since this overlaps with the talk I want to give, I will ask the questions from now on. Tono-kun, you seem to have teamed up with her, but do you know anything about what she's after? Yeah. Well, I heard he's the old type of vampire who drinks blood of humans to expand his territory. It seems you know about the two main classifications of vampires. Then, I think you know about how he is imperfectly immortal. Yeah, about how he needs to drink blood to maintain his body. But on the other hand, as long as he can drink blood, he'll never age, right? Yes. But you can't say he's immortal in the end, can you? Besides, there are ones for whom drinking blood does not maintain their body fully, and there are some that are exterminated by us. You can't call something that can die like that immortal. She's kind of got a point, actually. Well, certainly, he's not immune to death. I don't know what Senpai is trying to get at here. Is this related to why you came to my school? Of course. Geez, please wait until I'm finished. Okay, but if you could give me the short version, I'd appreciate it. 30 words or less. Or was Saitama's 20 words or less? I don't remember. Oh, really? If that's the case, then I'll explain as directly as I can. Senpai seems a little disappointed. Then, a simple explanation. Anyway, the mortality of vampires known as dead apostles is very unstable. For them, it is merely a prolongation of their lifespans, many times that of normal people. A question? Not only are their lifespans long, but they also have unnatural powers. Is there any relation? Not really. Their individual powers are things they had when they were human, strengthened over hundreds of years. Not entirely sure that that's true in terms of the greater fiction of the Nasuverse, but I could be mistaken. I could very well be mistaken. Continuing their studies from their human lives gives them these extraordinary powers. The dead apostles each have different goals. What they decide to study is different. Because of that, there was one who seriously studied immortality. he became immortal, yet he still researched it? Yes. The instant the dead apostle becomes vampires, they assume they have reached the limit of immortality as humans. However, he felt that it was just a degeneration. He did not want something so imperfect, and he wanted to come up with a more perfect immortality. I'm putting a lot more emotion and range into Ciela's voice than I think she normally tends to speak with. I think she's, honestly, if I switched around the way that I emote for Arcueid and the way I emote for CL, well, it would probably be a bit better, but, I originally pictured them kind of as I do now, as I'm doing their voices now. It's hard to change. Habit and all that. Senpai seems to be more engaged. But as long as something has shape, it cannot but perish. There isn't anything that can withstand the passage of time. Vampires merely have a resistance higher than that of humans. Anything living internalizes death the moment it is born. Even if in possession of a body which does not age, as long as it exists, it cannot escape death. To escape death is to die. The contradiction is a problem that cannot be solved. Yeah, everyone has death within them. If there was someone who doesn't, then that's probably something that never existed in the first place. Even Arcueid can die during the day. There can't be anything that cannot die in this world. That's the reason, but he concluded that if he could preserve his existence after death, then he would be immortal. It isn't in our doctrine, but it's what you call reincarnation. Even if you die, if you can preserve your sense of self and start over again as a new human, that would be eluding death. Well, when he isn't completely annihilated, he isn't dead, so it's actually not quite eluding death. Reincarnation. You mean if he dies, he will start over as a baby? Yes. While he is alive, he chooses his next host, and when it is born, he transmits all of his information of his self. His information stays deep within the baby until it matures, or until it gains its intelligence as its own. As soon as the baby has intelligence to succeed his self, the baby becomes a new vampire that is him. Wait a minute. What's that? Don't tell me he does surgery on it while it's in a mother or something like that. No, it's not anything medical. Because the instant his body is destroyed, he reincarnates into the body he chose as his next body. I said all of his information earlier, but to use simpler terms, think of it as his soul. It would be quite correct to say his soul propagates through the air and takes over someone's body, but it's similar to an electromagnetic wave. In this case, the human brain is what does the transmitting and the receiving. His exceptional point is that he took his soul, which is incalculable and something that disappears as soon as it leaves the envelope of the body, and processed it as something that could be transmitted. Sorry, Senpai. I can't see how this relates to you coming to my school. It is related, because this reincarnating vampire is in your school, Tono-kun. Huh? The vampire I am pursuing and the vampire Arcueid is pursuing are the same, although she's probably only referred to him as the enemy. I nod silently. Certainly, she's only used the word enemy, but she never told me anything about him. Her duty was to kill vampires, but since he appeared, she only pursued him. He has reincarnated 17 times already. How many pieces did Shiki cut Arcueid in, out of curiosity? I have already forgotten. She has destroyed him every time. Every time. But even if he dies, he will just be reborn, right? Isn't that pointless? Yes. He is killed by her, reincarnates each time, and is killed again by her. The cycle has been repeated over and over. If Arcueid had the power to kill not only the body, but the meaning, then this probably would not be happening. It's an interesting thought, because I think it's been established at this point that Shiki can kill the meaning of something like that, right? Right? It's a bit to think about. Seems a bit more like maybe Arc was using us a bit more than it was admitted. Which, to be fair, Shiki's an idiot, so who knows. So is Arc. Also, Arc is also an idiot. Senpai looks down a little, and it seems like she is gritting her teeth. I don't know why. However, it appears that Senpai also has some grudge against the enemy like Arcueid does. Senpai, what kind of vampire is he? He was originally a man, but that can change depending on his body he reincarnates into. The troublesome part of the dead apostle is that his incarnations are hard to find. Because he is properly born as a human baby and has parents, he transforms into a vampire only when he reaches the age where he can do everything at a satisfactory level. Until then, that human shows no hint of being a vampire. But once he awakens, he uses the relationships he's gained until that time to blend perfectly into society. I heard that the church usually detects his presence usually after a whole town is turned to the dead. Wait a minute. Well, then this new host, he wouldn't ever realize he was a vampire until he awakens? Yes, but it isn't like two people sharing one body. The baby born as a human is still him. Depending on its environment, it's a good or bad person. But even that, the instant he awakens, goes away. To sum it up, once he dies, he is reborn into the next body, and once that body gains intelligence, it gains the previous life's self and becomes a vampire. That wasn't very simple. What is it? Just hearing this, it's terribly scary. That's strange. I don't really understand it, but it's strange. Because what you call vampires, they don't just suddenly become vampires, right? So, even if their old self awakens, wouldn't the body still remain human? No, reincarnation isn't the transmitting of personality, it's the transmitting of the soul. One's bitten by a true ancestor, not just the body, but the soul is forever soiled. He transmits all of his information called his soul to his next self, so when he awakens, the body becomes one of a vampire. But what? As you said, just that is too weak. So he selects his next host while he is alive. The family he is born into must meet two conditions, the first being one of wealth. Being born into a family of high social standing, property, and money makes it easier for the whole town to turn into vampires later. And there is another requirement. This is the important one, but amongst normal people like us, they are also people that carry special powers. Not like magic, which is a mystic power that can be learned, but rather special abilities from birth. Such people are normally called demonic children, or psychics. So Shiki is a demonic child. That explains a lot. These special abilities are genetic, so they are inherited, passed on by blood. He chooses those families that have something not human in their lineages. A family with wealth and influence and inhuman power. Those are the requirements for his host, Tono Shiki-kun. The fact that she just said our full name and seems to be, to some extent, describing us is kind of suspicious. Just ever so slightly suspicious. Not to raise any flags or anything like that. Ding, ding. I don't have a music cut. There's still something weird I think that story is weird. What's weird is that Senpai is telling me this story. His name. Yes? Did you say something? His name. You keep saying enemy and him, but how can I understand that? Can't you tell me his name? I yell at her, not even knowing why I'm angry. She doesn't look flustered at all. She only looks at me sympathetically. No problem. Among the dead apostles, he is known as the Serpent of Akasha. Yeah, Akasha, that's known kind of not historically. If you have knowledge about magics with a K, like real world spiritualism and stuff like that, Akasha has meaning, which is probably why Nasu used it, which I heard of Akasha long before playing this. I think the Akasha, or the Akashic Records, is one of the most well-known parts of it, but there are other parts of it if I'm not mistaken. But it is very windy outside. Many long years since I've really delved deep into spiritualism and magics with a K, and just left-hand religions in general. I'm going on about stuff that's probably like this. This is due to the serpent being the symbol of infinity and cycles. It is very, very windy outside. That's odd. Not sure why. That's sudden. Shedding its skin and gaining a new body. It was perfect for his name. Hopefully the loud wind whipping past my house is not picking up on the microphone very loudly. On the other hand, he is recorded in the church as the Infinite Reincarnator. That's a clever name. His human name is Michael Roa Vaudemjong. That's almost certainly incorrectly pronounced, at least for the last name. But, what can you do? Besides not be shit like me. He is simply referred to as Roa. Never heard of it. Of course, it's not like I've ever met him. In short, you came to my school because you knew this Roa was there. Yep. It truly was a sketchy feeling, but I knew this incarnation of Roa was there. I can sense Roa far better than Arcueid. That's why I came here much earlier than Arcueid and already found out who his new host is. Oh. Then who and how? You're not going to tell us, are you, Secret Senpai? The voice stops for some reason. Senpai looks at me sympathetically like before. I explained this before, but Roa chooses fine lineages and excellent bodies for his next host. So once you find out Roa is in this place, the answer comes naturally when you investigate the families which meet his criteria. In this area, there is only one family that meets his criteria. I don't have to say any more, do I, Tono Shiki-kun? That's why I'm saying this conversation is weird. I'm the one laughing dryly. What are you saying, Senpai? That can't be. Senpai doesn't answer. Almost as if she is saying I am this Roa's host. But there can be no doubt. The Tono family has something different in its blood. It has power and the latent superhuman ability that Roa needs. The power he used to defeat the dead earlier wasn't human. So, this time, Roa's host is unmistakably Tono Shiki. I don't understand. I don't understand a single thing that she says. Why? Why can you be so certain, Senpai? What? Because I'm the one who decided all this. She says something I can't understand once more. What? But it's different. You were the one killed. Yet you are the one who survived. The one killed survived, and the one who killed is dead. I think all the mistakes began there. She says so as if she's on the verge mentally. Senpai pulls the sword from the ground by my feet. That is all I had to tell you. I'll leave the rest for you to decide, Tono-kun. Leave it to me? But according to your story, To be honest, I don't know either. You are an incredibly ordinary person, like a student you could find anywhere. My intuition has to be wrong. Because you are someone who shouldn't be in a world like mine. With a sad smile, Senpai leaps an incredible distance from me. As if trying to tell me she's someone else now, an unreachable far distance. I still can't leave Arcueid alone. Unless I chase after her now, I feel like I'll never see her again. You're going after her, Tono-kun? Senpai's voice returns to the way it was when she drove off Arcueid. An inflectionless voice devoid of emotion. Yeah. Because you're a person of a church. I know she's an enemy of yours. But a lot of things have happened and I agreed to help her, so I have to look for her. I don't know what she'll do if I leave her by herself. Laughing as if it was a joke, I tell her later and turn around. Please wait. If you go after her, you will only get killed. You must not see Arcueid Brunestad again. Only get killed? Well, you may not believe me, but she really doesn't suck blood. She's quite a good person, actually. I know. Certainly she hasn't drunk human blood. However, that's at an end. A true ancestor who gives in to the vampiric impulses once can only fall downward from there. My feet freeze in place. Senpai? True ancestor, vampiric impulse. What do you mean? I mean the desire to drink blood, Tono-kun. The vampires called dead apostles become vampires after a vampire sucked their blood. To preserve their bodies, they need the blood of humans. In other words, they can't escape drinking blood if they want to live. But the ones that were vampires from the beginning are different. The dead apostles were originally humans, like us. So maybe you can still call them human. However, if someone was born a vampire, can you call it human? What are you saying, Senpai? I'm asking about Arcueid. This is about her. I won't let you say you never thought about it. If dead apostles become vampires from vampires, there has to be an origin, an existence that is a vampire from the beginning. These vampires are completely different species from us. We call them true ancestors. Those who don't need human blood and have special powers equivalent to, surpassing the dead ancestors. She is a member of the royal family of the true ancestors. Although they don't really have any rank structure, so saying royal isn't quite accurate. So what, Senpai? This doesn't have anything to do with me. It does. These vampires known as true ancestors have a deeper impulse to drink blood than the dead apostles. Her eyes are completely emotionless. Like mirrors, they show my agitated face. Do you see, Tono-kun? The true ancestors can live without human blood. However, maybe a mistake happened in their evolution, or maybe there's no such thing as a perfect existence. But anyway, there is a period when they desire the blood of humans. The instant a human has his blood drunk by them, he no longer remains human. True ancestors are on a scale different from humans as creatures. When the powerful life of a true ancestor touches the blood of a human, the sheer difference means a human cannot remain human after such contact. Like a small wave absorbed into a larger wave, that person becomes part of the true ancestor. To simplify, it becomes a doll. The problem is, there's no reason for their vampiric impulses. There's no reason, so there's no way to stop it. The fatal flaw in an otherwise perfect existence. You can call it a terminal illness. Anyway, they live by resisting their urge to drink blood. It isn't a matter of using the mind to put up with it. They use all their powers to resist this urge and seal it within themselves by force. By using their enormous power on themselves, they are suppressing their vampiric impulse. But if something external causes them to lose their power, what do you think their ability to suppress it, or happens to their ability to suppress it? If something external causes them to lose power, such as receiving a wound which requires power to heal, or using power to regenerate after being killed completely. So, let's say she has 10 units of power, and she uses 7 of them to resist the urge to drink blood inside her. But if, for some reason, she loses 5 out of 10 units, then even if she uses all her remaining power, she can only use 5 units of power to resist. That's not enough. Then, what will it take away from her? And what happens to true ancestors who couldn't resist, Senpai? They drink human blood, of course. After that, nothing. Once they give in, they can only keep on falling. Sounds like a bad paladin from a bad D&D game. Once a true ancestor knows the taste of blood, I hear the urges become many times more painful than before. As a result, they aren't able to resist the urges anymore. And when that happens, they become the dreaded Demon Lord. Again, no, that actually doesn't sound like a bad D&D game. That just sounds like a D&D game. Although I think they usually use the term Dreadlord, but, True ancestors are certainly a superior race, but since they bind themselves to resist the vampiric impulse, they can never utilize their full powers. But once they fall, they no longer need to restrain themselves. Again, sounds like a paladin. Then, the wind is very loud. Then, they just become demons which suck human blood for their own pleasure. I think it's about to start raining. Kind of hope it doesn't start pissing down rain until I'm finished recording, but who knows? Who fucking knows? I remember how Arcueid appeared earlier. Her bloodshot eyes, her wild breathing, her breath assailing my neck. Lies. That's a lie. Because she certainly said she's scared of drinking blood. Yeah, she's scared. Because once she does it, she knows she won't be able to stop. If there is any salvation, it is that the urge is instantaneous. The true ancestor just keeps one subordinate for the time the urge gets too great to suppress. That's the beginning of those called dead apostles. They are something that is already dead. A vampire kept alive for the sake of causing the pain of the true ancestors. Easing the pain of the true ancestors. That is the form of the vampire in this city. But she doesn't have such a thing. No, until now, she never needed one. Special among the true ancestors, she was able to resist the vampiric urge using her will alone. And then there's no problem. Once her wound healed... Oh, I actually think I had them backwards. Once her body returns to normal, she can resist it, right? Technically, but there is a limit, Tono-kun. The vampiric impulse has no end, and it will not go away. The resisted urges, which build up again and again, will eventually overflow their vessel. The longer they live, the larger the vampiric impulse in them gets. And when they can no longer resist themselves with their own power, when the impulse overwhelms their power, their lives are ended by others. This is the lifespan for those without lifespans. But Arcueid is okay. She's just weak because of me, so after a few days she'll... Perhaps. But she's reached her limit already. Even though she was actually only active for a few years, the amount of time in her existence does not change. The urge which has grown inside her will consume her soon. There is no denying that now is not the time. Arcueid's life cannot be saved. Thump. For the first time, not because of my anemia, but someone else's words, everything starts to fade away in a haze of dizziness. What does it mean? Even though you know she's past her limit, she's still hunting vampires here? That's odd. No matter how I think of it, it's odd. It's all lies. Because if she knew she's at her limit, then why would she hunt vampires for our sake? She deals with them not for our sake, but because it is her purpose. Purpose? Who decided that? Probably the other true ancestors. She was born in the 12th century when there were many fallen true ancestors. True ancestors could not ignore their fallen kin, nor the dead apostle increasing in number. And that's why they created something solely for killing. Without a need for anything else, the most pure true ancestor was created for punishment. This is the true ancestor called Arcueid. She's like a nuclear missile with a mind of its own. Once she leaves her castle, her target is instantly destroyed. I think this, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to end off this episode. It's running a little bit long, but not horribly so. But that was a pretty big bomb being dropped on us about Arcueid's past. And there's still obviously much more exposition to go, but I think regardless of that, I think next time we'll find out a bit more about Arcueid, of course, and maybe we'll have a conversation with her again and get these words from her instead of from a second-hand or third-hand source, whatever you want to consider CL. But that's from the future. I hope you will all join me next time in Tsukihime.